booties for black girl nerds.
Thank you, Sanaa, for your time. It is a pleasure to talk to you, and congratulations on the come up.
Thank you.
Um, Before I talk to you about Jay, you're also the director of the project. What does directing do for you creatively? That what does it tap into that acting doesn't tap into the same way?
It's directing is the whole picture. It's, you're responsible not just for your character, but you're responsible for the shots and the production design and the costumes and basically just the whole vision of the film. You're the painter. And so, and you bring in all these amazing crew members and cast members to uplift that vision. It's basically the vision for the story. So um, that was just really, I had one of the most amazing times of my life working on this film. I loved every second of it. And when I was doing my homework, I kind of fell in love with Jay and recognized a lot of women in my family in her. And I also thought it's beautiful to see somebody, succumb to such a horrible addiction and still, triumph. And I don't know, we don't know if she triumphs, but we know that she tries, and to see that, I think, is really important, especially in a world right now where there's so many people that are struggling with addiction. So, yeah.
What really warmed me about your portrayal of Jay is, although she was suffering from this addiction, she really, even within it, she really was fighting hard. Addiction, some people perceive it as a selfish act, not realizing the depth of what addiction does to you.
Yeah.
When you were walking that fine line between addictive mother and recovering mother, what would you say is the big difference in how you gave
Hmm.
life to those versions of Jay?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really see much of Jay in her addiction. There was the flashback at the beginning, and I really wanted to kind of really just give that image of the ugliness of that. And so it was almost like two different characters. She's dealing with some major demons, and then the present day Jay that we see, it's, her she is struggling to stay clean. She's struggling to get a job so she can support her family, and she's wanting forgiveness from her daughter, which that's real, and the guilt and the shame that goes along with that, even after, she's recovering, is a real thing that people deal with. So I actually talked to a woman who had been like 30 years sober, a black woman from heroin.
Mm.
Jay's in the book, Jay's drug of choice is heroin. And it was really enlightening to the whole guilt and the shame with her children was a big thing that she still deals with to this day, even though she's conquered the addiction. So that was very helpful in talking to her.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you for your time, ma'am. I enjoyed it, and I appreciate you
So,
talking to me. Thank you.
thank you.
Hi, Jamila. Thank you for your time. You look beautiful. I love your hair.
Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure to speak with you. This movie discusses many themes: perseverance, pursuit of your dreams, overcoming adversity. When you first read over the script, which of those most deeply resonated with you as someone who's on their own come up in their career?
I think what most resonated with me was never compromise your integrity despite life can put you in a lot of situations where it makes you want to act out of desperation. And it's just important to remember who you are and remain true to who you are.
Mhm. And luckily for as people will watch and see Bree's journey and what happens to her as she's in pursuit of this rap career and stepping beyond a shadow. Has there ever been a time in your life that you felt there was something overshadowing things you wanted to accomplish that you had to step beyond? And what gave you the courage to do it, like Bree?
Well, I think I speak for me and a lot of the Black women in my community when I say this, but we always have to work twice as hard to get wherever, to accomplish anything. And I didn't come from a family with money, so especially pursuing the career as an actress, it has been hard. I've had a lot of moments where I did not know how my bills were going to get paid. I've been there, and I just think that to finally have a breakthrough and to just keep going and persist despite my circumstances, it really feels good to know that anybody can do it, no matter where you come from and no matter what you've been through, you can do it. And I speak that with everything in me, that it doesn't matter who you are, you can do it if you just persist. So, yeah.
And lastly, speaking of things you can do, cadence for battle rapping is far different than, I think I can spit a hot 16 in my car, but it's not, it's trash. But it's a whole different skill to do it, not as just a performer, but in that style. How much practice did it take you for just to really nail that sort of battle cadence?
Oh my God, it took me, man, we started practicing about 2 months before we started shooting, and I had to practice every day to develop that voice and that cadence and get comfortable in the flow, because there's cadence and then there's also body movement and presence. And what we really wanted to embody in the character of Bree was that she's a little girl, but she's big in her presence. And there's a lot of passion in her voice, and I really wanted that to come across. So it took a lot of practice. And when I tell you I rapped for everybody before I got on that stage to make sure that my nerves did not get in the way, I rapped for everybody.
Well, you did a good job. That is quite a feat, because it's still scary. It's still a lot of people, but even as an actress. Thank you so much for your time. I enjoyed your performance. I appreciate you talking to me.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Hello, guys. Congratulations. Thank you so much for your time. I enjoyed watching you guys bring Sonny and Malik to life. But I must know, as we start, show of hands, who's got the hottest 16 between the two of you? Who's got 16 bars between the two of you?
Ooh. Not me.
Yeah, not me either.
Well, that's okay, because you guys are the friend group, and friends are all that more important to creative people and to artists. Miles, beginning with you, when you look at your support system around you as an actor, what are those attributes that you value the most about those people in your life who are not performers, and how did they inform bringing Sonny to life for you?
Yeah, I have a lot of people in my life who I met actually in acting school. So we do share a lot of similar interests. And then I've also got friends who do wildly different things and who use parts of their brain that I feel like I don't use on a day-to-day basis. Thinking about Sonny and Malik, they are two wildly different energies in Bree's life, equally important. And when I look around at my support system, I think it's important to have friends that have distinct attributes and distinct personality traits that fill different roles in my life. No one friend is the same. No one relationship is the same. And I think it's the same in the movie.
Absolutely. Michael, for you, for Malik, he really represents kind of just this sweetness, it gets lost on young Black boys, teenagers, that every teenage guy who is like a cis male is not so aggressive and wants to be a good friend and good supportive person in her life. And you really brought that tenderness for the forefront. When you read the role the first time, what struck you about him that really made you say, you know what, I like this role, I want to get all the way dialed in?
I think one thing, or a couple of things that stood out to me, was Malik was so honest and he was so grounded and genuinely himself, right? So like you said, he didn't put up a facade of, oh, I must show out or I must overcompensate. You know, I don't have to be overly masculine or, you know, and so he was himself, and his friends supported him, and it was this beautiful dynamic. It was comfortable. That's what kind of gravitated me towards the role of Malik, was just him. He was able to be himself, just genuine.
Mm-hmm. Miles, back over to you with Sonny. We get an arc of Sonny's life within the movie itself. And again, that sweetness, that innocence that people are not attributing enough to teenage roles. Everything is so fast and so mature so quickly. What was your reaction to Miles or to Sonny when you saw the arc of where we'll see him go? Because they're not just the friends, they have a life as well.
Yeah, I mean, in general, what I love about Sonny is that he is an amazing example of what abundant Black queer joy looks like. And he's 16. So for him to know himself that authentically and be so open about who he is and so proud and so loud, it's really, really important. And then commenting on the sort of blossoming relationship that he finds himself in, that first infatuation, that first attraction, no matter your sexuality, it always raises a ton of questions in your own mind. So to see him sort of be so knowledgeable and so sure of who he is in every lane of his life except for romance, and then sort of be like, I don't know exactly how to go about this. I think it's a cool little duality within him.
I loved it. I thought, well, thank you guys for your time. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that you guys were fully formed characters and not just pop it in here, pop it in there. It was very enjoyable. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you, Angie, for your time. I appreciate you talking to me. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am always intrigued when novelists work with a motion picture and where the line starts to blur between the integrity of the written content and being adapted for a film. Where does that line reside with you with regards to this project? It's spot on. Did you have to take some detours and negotiate a lot of parts?
You know, I didn't. I was blessed in the sense that the person at the helm of the film loved the book, you know, and that's Sanaa Lathan. There have been times where movies have been made based on books and the director doesn't read the book. I haven't had that to happen. Both times my directors read and loved the books, but there have been times where they don't read the book. They don't care about the source material. Sometimes the authors aren't even allowed on set. I was allowed on set all the time, you know? So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that there was that love and appreciation for the source material. And there was a determination to see that the heart of it translated well into the film. I think Sanaa did a fantastic job, especially with that. And that's what you hope for. It's a lot like being a parent letting someone else take your child, raise them to get them into college, you know? And I felt like I put this one in the right hands, absolutely. But even beyond Sanaa, the actors, everyone had an appreciation for the book, and that shows in the movie.
What warmed my heart about just this story as a book and as a film, I felt like it captured kind of a genre that we don't see enough of anymore, like the drum lines and like the sweet, you know, she was in a tough position and had a lot of adversity, but it's hopeful and optimistic, and there's not enough of that voice or that storytelling, particularly for Black people, I feel, in cinema. When you set out and you write new material, do you write with the intention of, you know what, this might make a good movie too, now that you've done it twice?
The funny thing is, I was writing the book on the come up while on the set of The Hate You Give. And I remember being on set and thinking to myself, oh man, I hope this one gets made into one too, you know, and then having conversations with some of the producers and telling them what I'm writing or whatever. And they're like, ooh, that would make a great movie scene, you know, and then hearing from them as producers, you know, the kinds of scenes that are harder to adapt, you know, they were like, don't do any more riots because they cost so much money. They like, try not to do any riots. And I'm like, okay, I can do battle rap scenes though. They were like, try not to do a lot of scenes at night. So I had to eventually though push that out of my head and not think of it from a producer's perspective, but from the author's perspective. But I still thought about it. And as I was writing scenes, thinking, oh, this would be dope to see on screen. This would be dope. It would be dope to see these battles on screen. It would be awesome to see these scenes with Bree and her family on screen. So it was there in the back of my mind the whole time.
And lastly, speaking to Jamila earlier, we talked about cadence of battle rapping, which is a whole different animal. I think I can spit a hot 16, but it's garbage. I definitely can. And she talked about how much practice it took. So as the author, did you have to work with her to make sure she captured that right cadence?
No, I didn't. The funny thing is, I'm glad I didn't because, you know, writing the raps was the hardest part of writing the book. But Rhapsody, who's one of my favorite rappers, was brought on for that, you know, and she not only wrote the raps that are in the movie, but she trained Jamila. And, you know, you can kind of see a little bit of Rhapsody swag in Bree, the character. So I let her handle that. And I learned stuff watching that. You know, I used to want to be a rapper and now I'm glad I didn't because I couldn't, you know, watching that, I'm like, no, you set a whole new bar. I could never reach that. So it gave me a greater appreciation for the art form and for the MC.
That's a bar right there. You set a whole new bar. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. See, I'm gonna stick to interviewing. Thank you so much for your time. I enjoyed it. I appreciate you talking to me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.